So kindly respond to that, Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Senator for Nyeri for that supplementary question. Although I don't know whether the colonial village is a supplementary question because it goes outside the parameter of the question raised by the Senator for Kirinyaga on churches. Churches are, in my view, they are independent institutions. They don't fall under national government. Once land is allocated to you as a church, then it is the responsibility of the church to take up the processing of the title. And you realize that it is quite a huge a task and therefore a huge budget, and we wouldn't do it for we don't have a budget to do titles for churches. It's for the churches to take up, and where we need to facilitate them in our registries, we will facilitate in terms of documentation. Then on the colonial villages, I have already asked for a report on my desk for all the colonial villages, especially in Nyandarua and Nyeri, and I will be giving directions in terms of how to start the exercise of titling. I think there are more than 300 colonial villages in both counties, and I can assure you I will work on those. I've taken it up already, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Manzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, now that we are talking of land which has not been alienated or status is not known, could the minister, who we have a long history with and is an outstanding lawyer, update us as to the status of the land against Konza City? There are titles which have been pending for quite a while of Aimi Makilungu Ranji Farm.
Honorable Senators, you know I give guidance that the questions or supplementary questions should be in line with the original question, so that now the CS, you know, our mind is on the schools tightly. But if we ask other questions which might not get answers now, then it's a big problem. So let us, as much as possible, stick to the original question. Honorable CS.
I would, thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is not possible for me to give the Honorable Daniel Manzo, the Senator for Makueni, an answer now on the question he has raised, but I can, we can raise and I can give him an answer maybe at another either sitting or preferably directly. He can contact me and we'll give him the necessary response as an office. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay, Senator Manzo. Anytime you can get the CS. Senator Chute Mohamed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the Cabinet Secretary and her team, both the PS and the Secretary, for the passage of the Affordable Housing Bill, which I earlier said it was a scam, but I withdraw that word now and say it was a very good job, well done job. We've passed 42, we amended 42 amendments, and congratulations to this House also. Let me go straight to page 3. I would want the Cabinet Secretary to tell this House, number 25 is Marsabit County. Out of 185 schools, only 4 schools has a title deed, and 2 other you've indicated as reservations. Can the Cabinet Secretary tell us what reservation is and why out of 185 schools, only 4 has a title deed? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable CS.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. To answer the Senator, I want to say that Marsabit is one of the counties that adjudication has not been completed. In fact, the titling of schools will be part of the adjudication process, and therefore I think that is when we'll be able to respond or to give you a complete answer regarding the schools in Marsabit. And of course, this particular time, I think we'll be more careful so that even as we do the adjudication, then we complete the titling for the schools. Thank you.
Senator Dulo Fatuma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank CS for comprehensive response to the queries raised. Now, I want to comment on Isiolo, where we have 146 schools. There is only one with a title. And of course, you have explained what reservation is. So I want to know whether the processing of the titles is done by the schools or it's the government directly that actually initiates the process of issuing titles to those schools. Mr. Speaker, if you can allow me a rider to that, the issues of encroachment on most of the government schools by private individuals, what is the government doing about it? I thank you.
CS.
Isiolo is undergoing community land titling. Majority of land in the Isiolo will be under community land. It's one of the very difficult counties, and the Honorable Madam Senator is one of the leaders in that county, Honorable Speaker, and would do us very good by bringing communities together. We are ready to do titling. We have funding for titling, but I can tell you there are many issues arising when we start doing community titling, Honorable Speaker, including disagreement on names, disagreement on boundaries, but I want to assure her that we are working on community titling. And as I had responded earlier to Honorable Senator for Marsabit, titling this time, when we complete the titling, we'll also do the title for the rest of the land. We will also complete the titling for the public schools. In terms of encroachment, may I maybe take the opportunity, standing on this floor of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, with your permission, to say that any encroachment is an illegality, must be stopped, both by the people occupying the land, the public, our enforcement, law enforcement officers, elected leaders have a role to play, and of course, Honorable Speaker, my office will, when issuing titles, which is not just producing the title as per, we will go back, we normally have to go back with a surveyor to establish the beacons. Once the beacons are established, including elaborate mapping and survey, then we are able to do titling. That's why you can see the process is a bit slow, but also we need more funding for this particular activity. The titling started in 2019 for all schools. I mean, the direction was given by the head of state then. Thank you.
Thank you, CS. Honourable members,
Thank you.
CS. Honourable senators, you know our standing orders has allocated 20 minutes per each question. The CS has 3 questions. We also have another CS for energy who is also appearing this morning. So I want to give maybe 2 more supplementaries. Senator Boni Karwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Minister. It's long since we last met Madam CS. I'm truly impressed with the professional manner in which you go around discharging as a Cabinet Secretary. It's something the government really needs. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I recall CS when I was Member of Parliament in Ekolomani, and I believe this applies to other members of Parliament in office today. I opened 7 new secondary schools and 16 new primary schools for which I bought land and built. And the challenge we have had, Madam Minister, is that some of the plots that were acquired require succession. And because it is public land becoming, private land becoming public land, the people who received the money from us are not willing to come to court so as to assist us in the normal transfer. Is there affirmative action, a directive that the ministry can give to help such a school so that they can be assisted in titling Madam CS?
Madam CS.
Yeah, thank you. To the Honorable Senator Harware, Kakamega Senator, Honorable Speaker, I think that is a succession dispute or issue, not necessarily a dispute, but a succession process that has to go through the court. I think the best way is to possibly collect the necessary information, the schools, names that have those challenges in your county, and then the owners of the land. If the cases are in court, we can have the details of the court cases by way of a letter and all necessary details appertaining to those school titlings. And I will be able, I have of course a counsel, a litigation counsel in my office. They will be able to liaise with the Attorney General and the Office of the Public Trustee. And I'm sure we can it will take a bit of time, but it is doable. Sometimes it just requires to call the family that has either donated the land or that has sold the land and sit with them, and then you find a solution. I am willing to take up that exercise if I'm given the necessary information. We can liaise with you, Honorable Senator.
Thank you. Last one by Senator Kavidu Agnes. No, Honorable Senators, let me give further guidance because the CS has 2 more questions. To make progress, we can go to the next question, and then I will request the CS to, even if the question can come on titling of the school, public schools, still she will be able to handle that. So to make progress, let's get the last one from Senator Agnes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I first of all want to congratulate Madam CS for the good work that she's doing. But at the same time, I have complaints about Machakos, the registrar office, for issuing title deeds. They are having a lot of delays there, and we only have that registrar in Machakos sub-county. And as far as Masinga, they travel all the way to come to Machakos to come and get their title deeds, even Yatta and everywhere else in Machakos. And whenever they go there, they are told to come back tomorrow. They can go there, stay the whole day. Nobody is telling them anything. I went down doing my public participation on oversight, and some of my citizens were complaining that whenever they go there, there's a registry book. They are told to pay 10,000 shillings. And they are not issued with a receipt, and they are told to come back, and they never see this money, they never get their title deeds. Madam CS, can you kindly explain what is happening in the registrar office, in the lands registrar office, for issuing title deeds in Machakos? Thank you.
Madam CS.
And if also you have a plan of distributing some other offices in those other sub-counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Senator for Machakos, Senator Kavindu. First, my registrar in Machakos is Dorothy Reting, and Dorothy has other 4 registrars. So in terms of number of registrars, we do have some sufficient number considering the total numbers that I have. Secondly, we have noted the workload in Machakos County is huge, and we have gazetted new registration units, registries, that is Mavoko and Kitimani. I will be having a minimum of a registrar for each. for a start, and I hope to be able to post 2 registrars for the 2 registration registries. And I think that would answer to some of the delays that have been occasioned. In terms of, you talked of some integrity issues, maybe that is for me corruption, but I'll pick it up with the registrar in charge. There is no reason why people should come 3-4 times to look for their titles. They need to, we have already given instructions that they must work with timelines, so that once you come once, you make your application, you allow time to register, and then just come second time is to collect your title, unless the records are not there. But I know that these answers will be answered finally through digitization process that we have already taken up, and we'll be hoping that we can complete the exercise nationally in the next 2 years.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Honorable Senators, now let's go to question number 018 by the Senator for Nairobi County, Honorable Edwin Sifuna. I understand it's 017. No, we have done till Senator Sifuna to ask his question first. 018.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted the CS for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development to answer the following 3 questions, Mr. Speaker. Number 1, who holds the title deed for the parcel of land on which the Tomboya Social Hall in Makadara constituency, Nairobi City County stands? And could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the ownership history of the said parcel of land? B, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the circumstances under which the parcel of land came into the custody or possession of a private developer who has already commenced construction works on a mall? Number C, what measures has the ministry put in place to reclaim public land, including this land in Makadara that has been illegally acquired or encroached upon, as well as generally forestall land grabbing in the city of Nairobi? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Madam CS.
In response to the Honorable Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Sifuna, Honorable Senator Edwin Sifuna, he wants to know what is the fate of Tomboya Social Hall. Honorable Speaker, I have given an answer in response, which is written. Tomboya Memorial Hall sits on plot number 79 stroke, block number 79/782. Formerly, the number I have given there, LR number 209/11046. The plot was reserved to the Ministry of Public Works, that is my ministry, for development of a community hall on June 26, 1957, through an order of the governor then. The plot was leased to KANU, Kenya African National Union Party, for 3 years from 1967 on condition that the party pays rent of shillings 1. The land remains government land, and the party remains, that's the condition, that the land was to remain still owned by the Public Works, and then the party responsible for maintenance of the building is the KANU party during that terms of the lease for those 3 years. KANU then thereafter applied for allocation of the plot in 1985. A letter of allotment was issued in favor of the party on 12th April 1985 for a term of 99 years. With effect from March 1985, the user of the plot was Social Hall still, and offices. Annexure that we have given an annexure of that detail, and then thereafter KANU did not pay the statutory fees in indicated in the allotment letter of 10th of April 2018. The offer had since lapsed, and I have given also supporting annexure there, number 3. A lease for Nairobi Block 79/782, measuring 0.403 hectares, that is about 1 acre of land, at peppercorn rent was prepared in favor of KANU and registered on April 25th, or 25th April 2018. I've given details in support. Honorable Speaker, on 22nd of February 2021, the parcel was then transferred to GAMI. Was transferred to GAMI Limited, GAMI Properties Limited. Give me CR2. Yes, to GAMI Properties Limited. I have also given supporting document to support that. The parcel, having been registered as a social hall, should remain as such. Honorable Speaker, that is the status of that parcel. It's a public land. Honorable Senator for Nairobi, I want to confirm, standing on this floor, that GAMI Properties Limited got an irregular allocation, and I will proceed to cancel that title. It is going to remain public property. Yeah. And maybe that's, I will leave a copy of the CR12 to show the individuals that own GAMI Properties Limited. My office obviously misbehaved by allowing this, but that was done jointly with the National Land Commission. We will work together using Section 79 of the Land Legislation Act. Thank you.
Honorable CS, I thought you just handle the 3 parts, A, B, and C, and then the rest of the question can maybe
he had enforcing strict penalties, digitization.
Well, I think you have answered that. You have. Your last part, I think, I summarized everything.
I had said, yes, I had said that we are working on digitization. We'll need support of Parliament through budget. We have already finished Nairobi. We are doing Murang'a and Isiolo for digitization. All the scanning in Murang'a and Isiolo is almost done, and we'll be going live in those 2 other counties soon. So this progress will be expected, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. With the way Senator Sifuna is happy, I don't think he has a supplementary question. He has already confirmed. Okay, Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, I was a bit worried when I was reading the written response from the CS, because it did not have the last bit there, which is the most critical bit for the people of Nairobi, on the action to be taken. I am more than happy to confirm or to hear from her that she's going to cancel the allocation, because the offer to KANU had lapsed, so they had no title to transfer. They did not, in fact, deserve to be given that title, and there was nothing to transfer to GAMI Properties. I am also happy that she has told the nation that she's going to provide the ownership details of GAMI Properties Limited. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the only thing I want the CS to confirm to me is the timeline when we can expect cancellation of that particular title, reversion back to the people of Nairobi of the property, and the reconstruction of Tomboya Social Hall. Mr. Speaker, because as we speak today, construction on that property is still ongoing. They are building a mall. So, Mr. Speaker, the timelines of those actions, if the CS, who has already made my day, can just add the topping to the cake, I will be very happy for the people of Nairobi to hear when we can expect this time, this action to be taken. And Mr. Speaker, continue to protect us from hecklers in this house, because we are discussing serious issues here about people who we represent, and people are heckling here.
Senator Sifuna, you are doing so. Senator Gloria, must you always make noise in this house, honestly speaking? No, it's not in order, honestly. I heard the CS say that she's intended to give, we wanted to table a document.
Oh, I think this is online actually, CR12, to show the owners of Ngami. This was, Honorable Speaker, I came yesterday back to the country, but I ordered for that and it is available. Those are the current directors of Ngami Properties Limited.
Yeah, the supplementary question maybe like...
I think he wanted to know the timeline.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, under section 79 of the Land Registration Act. I think I will need the notice, the process that we undertake is when we realize that irregularity has been committed, either or a mistake by our registry, we need to issue a notice to the holders of that title, and that notice is supposed to take it's a notice of 60 days. So I will take up the process immediately. So you can expect that then the notice is to call the person, the holder of the title, to return the title, failing which then we proceed to cancel it. In most cases, when they know it was an untoward activity, normally they do not present themselves, because you present yourself and the title for cancellation, or at least for interrogation. Once you don't come, we proceed to cancel. So it should not take me more than 60 days to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us get a few supplementary questions. Start from Rachel Julius, Senator Rachel Julius. Mulgo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would like to know from the Minister, there is a piece of land which was given by Pokot County Council to KVDA around 1986 or 83, and it is a dam today which is generating power. And so to mark the end of the occupied land, or the land that is today under a dam, they put pagons which marked the end that Wananchi would develop up to there or leave up to there. But now, maliciously, some MPs are grouping against KVDA and saying that they sold the land off to some unknown personalities, but the accusation is so high on the ground. So I was wondering if the minister is aware, and what does she say, so that as an answer to those who are accusing KVDA or some leaders of selling the land that today is a dam producing or generating power to Kenya at large.
Senators, you know, as I guided, as much as practically possible, let us just direct our question towards the original question. The CS can attempt to answer, but such details might be a bit difficult to get. So, Madam CS.
Thank you for the direction, Honorable Speaker. It's true that I'm not able to respond to that because it has not been brought to my notice area, but KVDA is actually an agency or parastatal under the Ministry of East Africa Community, Regional Development, and ASALS. And they would have the details of that particular problem. But Honorable Senator can also write to me, maybe, or to myself and the Minister for East Africa Region, and give us these details, and then we can try to help and resolve the problem. I don't know whether it's a problem where the dam has gone encroached. You know, sometimes dams exceed the area of the design, therefore a redesign may be necessary. It could be a case where maybe compensation is not complete, or a case where people are trying to use the dam to get the land or use the land that has already been purchased around the dam. I think I will leave it to you, but you can write to the two ministries for better responses. Overall, Your Honorable Speaker, I was asked about recovery of other public lands. Honorable Speaker, let me say that we are in the process of discussing with the Office of the President through hopes, and we intend to move the cabinet for a resolution to allow the minister to request for all ministries to forward their public lands that are in danger or have been encroached or have been grabbed, so that holistically I can address all of them, because it's not possible for the Minister of Lands to know which land has been encroached or has been grabbed. But I think it is, as a government, we have a duty. As a ministry, I have a responsibility to assist the government to protect and recover and document public land existing and what may have been taken away, and recover as much as we can, including prosecution of people who have been found to have stolen public land. Obviously, you see, even the Minister for Lands is not safe, because this particular parcel that Tomboya Socio is on belongs to the Ministry of Public Works. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, when I went to Kitare, I want to confirm that Kitare prison, is it the medium or maximum, is sitting on an individual's parcel of land. So I'm also proceeding to cancel those, because the prisons itself is sitting on land that has been grabbed, over 3,000 parcels of land. So it is not an easy matter. We have to do what is right, and the support of Parliament, including this kind of questions, is helpful. Thank you.
Senator Mandago, you are on the queue at the top. Maybe you can ask your question. But I don't know, you have a problem with that box. It's possible.
Maybe the clerks can assist me with my card. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I have, I don't know whether it's a question or a suggestion to the Cabinet Secretary. On this digitization, Honorable Speaker, I'd like to ask the Cabinet Secretary, what happens with lands that are there are disputes during digitization process? And I ask that because, Honorable Speaker, there is a land in question in Uasin Gishu County between the people of Uasin Gishu, the county government of Uasin Gishu, and the Department of Defense. But during digitization, you know, a title that was fraudulently acquired was also digitized. So my request to the Honorable CS is, during digitization, I think all lands under dispute should not be digitized, because digitizing is further giving legitimacy, you know, to the fraudulently acquired titles. Number two, Honorable Speaker, the CS has said she's constrained in terms of budget for titling of schools. Honorable Speaker, it is my view that now that schools receive even capitation for operations, and it only costs a maximum of 20,000 to actually get a title deed, schools should actually be asked to process their own titles. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Did I hear the Senator is proposing that we ask the schools to process their own titles? I think then that would require me to move back to the cabinet to have the cabinet resolve to do that. I don't see a big problem in the government. The schools are properties of the government, actually. The land is not necessarily in the name of school. It's reserved for that school, but the titles belong to the National Treasury, and they are registered in the name of National Treasury. So I think for us to assist to proceed to do that is important. And you also know that that is the only way we can be able to assure the validity, the sizes, the survey, integrity, and therefore I think it's not a bad thing that the ministry is the one that is finally doing it. You can imagine this is since 1960 this has not been done, so I think we will not be able to leave to the schools. Again, some of the people around the schools are the ones who have grabbed some of the school land. In that process, we'll be able to return any grabbed land. On the question on digitization, what happens to parcels that may be having disputes or have titles or records that are in dispute or are under interrogation and investigation? First, we capture the records that we have. But capturing the records we have by scanning and putting them in as part of our digitization does not mean we will be hindered from interrogating those documentations. But also the KDF land, I think you are referring to the KDF land. We have cancelled all those titles, so we don't longer have any problem. But where we have captured the wrong or disputed land, maybe it is in court, and then we get the new record or other records to say otherwise other than what is in our digital system, we will move to put that as part of our record, and it is possible within that, because as we digitize, we are also using the land laws that exist. So I don't think there is going to be any compromise or danger in our work.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Ososi. Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two questions, two supplementary questions to this.
Choose the one which is heavy, the one which is you consider only one supplementary.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the CS the compensation plan they have on lands which were compulsorily acquired by the government before the onset of devolution. I am saying this because, Mr. Speaker, there is a sad case of an old man who died 4 years ago and is still lying in the morgue from a place called Kegoye within Vihiga municipality. What happened, Mr. Speaker, is that when Vihiga was gazetted as a district by the then President Moi, there were some people who were relocated to create space for the construction of the district headquarters. And this old man was one of them. They were relocated to a place in Lugari Forest. And when they went there, they found that the land had complication. So they returned back to their original land. They have stayed there for years. The old man died there. When he died, they took the body to the morgue, but they could not bury because the county government contested and said that that land is within the Vihiga municipality. Up to date, the body of the old man is still lying in the morgue. I brought this matter when I was in the National Assembly in 2021, and the then CS for Lands, Madam Karonei, made a commitment to Parliament that the matter was going to be resolved in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, it is now approaching 2.5 years. Nothing has been done. What is the CS aware of this matter, and what specific action is she going to take to address this matter so that this family can bury their old man as soon as possible and stop incurring mortuary fees, given that this family, even though the county government has refused them to bury their dead, they are still occupying the land to date.
Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not aware of that particular matter. I would request for maybe the Honorable Senator if it is him who had asked the question, to send me a copy of the question and the answer that we gave, if you have. But I will also, because I have my Chief Land Registrar, Mr. Nyandoro, here with me, I will ask him to take up and check the records, and if there is something I can do, depending on the commitment that the minister made, because I believe she made on behalf of the ministry, I will action on the matter. However, I think also the county and yourself, Honorable Speaker, with the greatest respect, I think it's a matter that the county should have been able to resolve and help the family. But I will, on my part, see why the minister had said she would be in a position to deal with the matter and revert back to the Honorable Senator, not necessarily on the floor, but I can get back to him with the relevant answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I advise that Senator Sotsi, you can approach the ministry anytime to the CS office and see how you can be able to revive that issue. According to the answers the CS is giving, definitely she will be able to sort that matter. The way she had sorted the Tomboya Hall, Community Hall. What is it again, Senator Ososi?
Mr. Speaker, I think because the matter was raised in the last parliament where I served with the CS and the answers were provided by the then CS, I think they need to check their files. They will be able to get the answers. But I will oblige to provide the responses to the CS, what they gave them.
If you want to help those people, don't refer the CS to the files. Just initiate your own, do an initiative with the CS and she will be able to assist you. But if you refer to the files, you know, and she has directed you to see her in the office and say you can sort out the matter, I think that is fair enough.
Well guided. Mr. Speaker, I will make an effort to see the CS over that.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First of all, I want to congratulate the Cabinet Secretary for a job well done. We can see the output of your ministry. I am even sure Senator Sifuna was surprised that you gave a straight answer on his issue. Mr. Speaker, I have one question. On this particular issue on shared functions, we have shared functions under housing, under public works, and my question is, at what point is the ministry actually going to initiate a program of releasing the assets to the counties in terms of the shared, in terms of the functions that have been devolved? There are some functions that have been devolved, they've gone down to counties, but some of the assets are still on national level. So is there an intention to actually release those assets to the counties so that the counties can be able to have control over the issues that have been devolved? And Mr. Speaker, you know, we are all equal senators, and understanding Order 101, it is not proper for a senator to impute improper motive. I'm not a heckler. As you can see, my contributions are valid. So I think Senator Sifuna should understand that we are all equal, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Roba.
We are contributing.
Senator Roba, you have asked your question to the CS.
Yes.
So do you want the CS also to comment on the issues that you are accusing Senator?
No, I've asked the question, but I wanted to pass the message on record.
Just raise your question at that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
The Honorable Senator Gloria is asking about the shared functions and the assets transfer of, and I think, are you referring to transfer of functions or transfer of assets? For assets, the national government is working holistically to see what assets should be transferred, and because I know even as we sit, most of the assets belong to the national government. They have not completely yet been transferred, but there is, including functions, there is a team that is working on the transfer of both functions and assets. So I want to believe that that will eventually find its way to Parliament when the final list is done. It's not a very simple exercise, and therefore it requires time. Thank you.
Let's get the last supplementary question from Senator Munyaji. I can see 3 more senators are still on the queue. And then I'll give you an opportunity after we ask question number 017. So we make some progress, Senator Onyonka. You'll have an opportunity still to ask your supplementary question. Senator
Thank you, Honorable
Mohamed
Speaker.
Faki.
My question is with regard to historical land justices in Mombasa. Last week, and I think part of this week, the National Land Commission has been holding hearings in Mombasa in regards to historical land injustices. And on Friday last week, they made decisions that have created panic, fear, and despondency to the residents of Mombasa, especially within the island where many are not sure of their residences or places where they have stayed for almost 100 years. Initially, during the colonial administration, we had the system of liwalis, and the liwalis were registered by virtue of their positions as trustees on behalf of the residents. However, when the liwalis passed on, these properties were transferred or were inherited through the succession system, and now are no longer public or public properties, but they have now ended up in the hands of the relatives of the liwalis. And this one has caused a lot of problem because they are charging a minimum of 5 million for a plot measuring 50 by 80 or 50 by 100 within the central business district. So, Madam CS, we wanted to know what is the government doing to assure these residents of their residences, and also to resolve this long-standing problem that has affected Mombasa Island, and also part of Kisauni and parts of Changamwe and Likoni areas of Mombasa County. Thank you.
Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Senator, is it of Mombasa? Yes, has raised a very important question, and I believe that that question is not a supplementary question. It requires to be put in writing so that I can be able to respond to you, especially noting that the activities that you have referred to are activities being carried out by the National Land Commission. You know, National Land Commission is also an independent body, but we work together. Sometimes they are able to consult, and sometimes I'm also able to consult them. So I would, with the permission of the Speaker, I would request that that question be forwarded formally, either through the Senate or directly to the Cabinet Secretary, and I try to answer, because it's not necessary that if I can answer, I don't have to come to answer it on the floor. So I would leave it to you, Honorable Senator, through the Speaker.
I think Senator Mohamed Faki, that's a good guidance, because I also felt it's a weight matter that needs some good response.
Honorable Speaker, I agree with the CS that we need to put in a separate question. However, I have another small supplementary on affordable houses, Mr. Speaker.
You'll ask me during the next question.
Thank you.
Because actually it is related to the question by Senator Mohamed Faki. So let us have question number 017 by the Senator from Marsabit County.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Question 017. Could the Cabinet Secretary, one, indicate the respective value of each parcel of government-owned land that has been designated for the affordable housing projects in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Kisumu counties, and indicate how many of the said parcels are currently being or have been developed since 2017. 2, state the value of parcel of land assigned to respective developers for the construction of affordable housing, and could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the project cost per square meter of each housing unit, as well as the interest rate to be charged to buyers of those units. 3, state how many of the houses under the project are under public-private partnership arrangements, and could the Cabinet Secretary state the respective percentage contribution of the government vis-a-vis the developers. Number 4, halt all transactions involving public land until mutually beneficial formula to both the government and developers is agreed upon. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Madam CS, respond to the 4 sections.
Honorable Speaker, may I allow me to take this opportunity to thank the Senate, the honorable members of the Senate, the entire Senate, for supporting the affordable housing levy bill that came through the Senate. After an elaborate discussion, we have now a law that was assented to on 19th of March by His Excellency. Thank you very much for your participation and approval. Honorable Speaker, the question by the Honorable Senator for Marsabit, and I also appreciate that he's on board because he has even tendered an apology. We should be able to work together. Since 2017, Honorable Speaker, the government, I want to go to the 4 questions. I think his question is in 4 parts, as you have rightly pointed out, Honorable Speaker. The first one, of course, he's asking me to indicate the value of each parcel of government-owned land that has been designated for affordable housing project in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Kisumu counties, and indicate how many of the parcels are currently being or have been developed since 2017. Since 2017, the government has identified and designated about 575 land parcels, totaling to about 12,000 acres, distributed across the country. These parcels were submitted by the ministries, individual ministries, counties, departments.
Madam CS.
Yes.
Because this, I can see your response is quite long,
Yes.
and very elaborate. So I wanted to get from the honorable member whether he has been able to go through this response so that we can save some time.
Thank you.
And if you have, which specific section do you feel that you need?
Then I can be directed to that.
To
Yes.
that particular part of
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm satisfied
because
with
let me finish.
The answers are,
because the way you have really appreciated and you also said you are now on board. It's like this question was before. You asked this question before, now you came on board with that act.
Honorable Speaker, I've gone through the answers and I'm happy and comfortable with the answers, but I have supplementary questions.
You have no, yeah, good. Then if there is any other member on affordable housing, like Senator, first to inquire to Senator Mohamed Faki. You said you have no supplementary questions.
I have supplementary questions.
Oh, okay. Just ask your supplementary questions so that it can be specific.
Thank you.
Minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Article 43(1)(b) is very clear on the issue of settling people. And I wanted the Cabinet Secretary to note that we had former Buxton tenants who in fact brought a petition to this House. And I am in the Committee of Housing, Roads and Housing, and we decided and agreed that these people should be resettled, 184 in number, to be given the first priority to be resettled in Buxton Estate. I would want the Cabinet Secretary to tell us if these people are going to be settled, when they are going to be settled, and if she can give an appointment through this House for those people to come and sit with her and finalize this matter. The other issue I have is on rural housing. The Cabinet Secretary is aware that we've passed, the amended law has the component of rural housing. I want to know, in her regulations, what is she going to do for those people who cannot afford urban housing, who want to settle in Marsabit, Isiolo, Wajir, and those places? How is she going to cater for those people that can be settled in those areas? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam CS, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Senator has been following on the issue of the tenants that had occupied the land in the Buxton project in Mombasa. They are 184, according to the Honorable Senator. If these people have leadership, because I don't want to confirm that you can bring 184 people into my office, but if they have leadership, then the leadership can actually visit me, or you wait when I go to Mombasa, because maybe I can plan better, go to Mombasa and we deal it at that level instead of them coming all the way to Nairobi. So then we can see what issues are still remaining, but in the meantime, those issues can be documented and forwarded to me through your office, Honorable Senator, or through the leadership. I suppose these people have some leadership. Through their leadership, they can document the issues, send to me, and then looking at the issues, then I'll be able to make a decision to either visit, go to Mombasa, and we have a meeting there in Mombasa. On the question of rural housing, Honorable Speaker, I think this was a provision that this Senate found necessary in our affordable housing law, and we obviously, as a ministry, our work is to implement. We are preparing the regulations, and for me, I think what is important is, I believe Senate will be part of that preparation. I may not be able to give a concrete answer, because this will require us to examine materials, technology, and the budget, and of course the probability. How do we, in terms of economics of scale, how do we manage to, who and how do we deal with in terms of our rural setup? As you can imagine, we are talking about the whole country. There will be need for a budget. We need to rationalize, and we need to see what is suitable, and whatever material that government puts in money on, that material must also be put in the code, the building code that approves materials, and actually the building code is coming to the House, and therefore it is not an answer that you can get immediately, but it is something that we will all work on. Of course, we need to look at technology as part of the solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Onyonka, Richard.
Mr. Speaker, the reason why you saw I was nearly becoming anxious was because I have not had an opportunity to meet the CS before she became the CS, because the last time I was with her, she was making a political commentary on TV, and she was saying, we will win and you will lose. And I said, no, you will lose and we will win. And then she told me, in fact, Uhuru and his friends and everybody will go. And then I'm shocked now. The other side is now telling Mama Ngina, sorry, we are coming to be with you, sorry. So I was excited, Mr. Speaker, to see her, because I have utmost respect for her. Madam CS, I also want to sincerely thank you for confirming Mr. Nyandoro. You know, he happens to come from where he does, but I'm happy that you looked at meritocracy and agreed to give the best qualified person the job. I really thank you for that. Mr. Speaker, the question, supplementary question I'm asking the CS is maybe suggestive. Would the minister be comfortable to actually confirm to this House that the issues that are bedeviling the Ministry of Lands and the land question in this country is because of very simple things? For example, we have no spatial planning which is completed. We do not know which pieces of land were allocated and who allocated them, and whether they suffice on the legality of their existence. That the issues that you have that are in Kitale right now about prisons land are really questions which are historical, and that the challenges we have is that the institutions that are supposed to function, and indeed one of those institutions is her ministry, has been unable to perform and deliver on the issue of land. Would the minister be comfortable to tell this House whether therefore it's possible that she can make sure that in the shortest time possible we have spatial planning, and so that we can be able to do what the Rwanda government has done? And Mr. Speaker, what is shocking, or maybe not shocking, is that the people who did the spatial planning for the country known as Rwanda are Kenyans, and they are known. Is it possible that we can also do that, so that when somebody is buying land, or when somebody has been allocated land, or when somebody is having a problem with their land, they can immediately have the detail, the size of the land, the location of the land, the value of the land, and any development on that land? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Madam CS.
Honorable Speaker, I want to take the commendation and the congratulatory note from the Honorable Senator in humility, because he knows that we did very many debates with him at the national television, and many times he would get very upset with my contributions, but that was for debate purposes, and I warned him severally. He refused to listen. And I hope that I have permission to speak like that on this floor, but I hope he can.
The two of you to exchange that horizontally.
Thank you, thank you. I hope he will read the signs now, Ali, so that then we can be on the same page. And but suffice to say that he is a very ardent, very able debater, and we really benefited, all of us, from his contributions during the debates. May I say, Honorable Speaker, that he raises very fundamental issue in terms of what is ailing the entire ministry in respect of especially then the land tenure, land security. The question of land security is critical, is key, and as we plan, we are planning with that in mind, because we would want to guarantee security of tenure and security of records. And that's why we have agreed as a government, as a ministry, to go digital, to digitize, to ensure that you can at least, the stories, even today, Honorable Speaker, as I stand here, I get very upset because then my officers know that I have said that there is no way you can give me a response that the file is missing. Whenever a file is missing, there is some funny business going on or some irregularities likely to be committed by disappearance of a file. But this is something that the country must also now agree, and I take the opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to urge the public not to take matters, land security, casually, and not to engage in buying land that they have not received a proper certification in terms of searches and record checks by the land registries. Having said that, I have also told the government officers managing our registries that they will take personal responsibilities. And we have so far, Honorable Speaker, taken, I think, 3 or 4. 2 are under suspension since I came in, and 2 are already facing court charges because of irregular recording or documentation of land. Honorable, it's quite a task. The answer will be technology, use of technology and digitization, and therefore, Honorable Senator, I believe as a country, that is something we must aspire, and that's what we should be looking forward to. I should be made, put to task to be able during my tenure to complete digitization. We have 2 types of spatial planning: the county spatial planning and the national spatial planning. The national spatial planning is basically complete. The challenge we are having is the county spatial planning, and the governors have not taken up this without appearing to accuse the counties. They have a challenge Very few have taken up. I think, if I'm correct, about 10 counties are on course. The others are not on course. It's a very important aspect to have spatial planning, because if you don't, and then of course, if the spatial lack of planning is planning to fail, and therefore I am also calling upon the counties to take up this task very seriously. We are in the process also of doing necessary geospatial surveys, mapping and georeferencing. This is an exercise that is going on. Cadastre preparations for purposes of us to be able to digitize. We have to use those two things, the cadastre preparation and of course georeferencing. Then we will be able to resolve many disputes relating to even survey and the boundaries. And therefore, I think this government will be on course. That's where we need to put our money into in terms of these questions, and we will be able to deal with the land grabbers maybe up to maybe 100% if need be. I have no tolerance with them. Some of them have called me arrogant, Honorable Speaker, even if they are facing court cases for whatever. I know some of them are very unhappy, but some of them are also very influential, and therefore we need to just use our documentation properly so that we can keep away people who want to steal both public land and private land. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a long number one question from Onyonka, because it involved three parts: political, social, and then the question. Honorable Senators, we have 4 senators on the queue, and we didn't need to close with the CS for lands. I want to share maybe 1.5 minutes each, every member. And Honorable CS, if you don't have the exact question, you can even go and give the answers later.
Later, yes.
So that we can make some progress. So, Senator Vazishek.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask that CS, that among the proposed units, which is actually under construction already, is Wajir. I was seeing some houses under construction in Wajir Township. So may I know how many units is being built in Wajir Township? How many floors will these houses go? Because Wajir has actually many challenges in terms of, the soil structure and sanitation problems and sewage. Because of the high level of water, Wajir is still experiencing sewage problems. So I don't know whether the project has considered all those factors which have been undertaken now. Because sewage problem, Wajir has no sewage. It has sewage problems, it has water problem, and the soil structure actually is sandy. And if you will be building, houses with high-rise houses, you might experience some challenges. So I wanted to know how many there are, what is actually the height of this, how many floors, and whether you have taken care of any consideration of the sewage systems and all these things that do not exist in Wajir now.
So I want to know from the CS whether that's a question you can answer now, or maybe you provide the answer later to the Honorable Senator.
Wajir, we have 220 units that are coming up, 220 units of different categories. The original design is for social, affordable, and a few market units, and therefore that one is on course. Let me say that for purposes of this House, that we shall have county projects at county level, but we shall also have constituency level projects. This Wajir is one of the constituency level. I say constituency because we are also using constituency as a unit to ensure equitable distribution of this project, because for us, they mean a lot. For the people of Kenya, they mean a lot because they mean employment, they mean economic sparring, and they mean a lot of economic activities around the projects, including employing the youths. single project like this one will have between 300 and 400 youths, not forgetting the other issues that arise, people working, the shops around receive this money, it's not a bad project. So every constituency will have, and we will endeavor to do that in the course of our term, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Derito John. Can you? 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For me, I want to congratulate the minister and to ask her, apart from the creations that were mentioned by Chute concerning the rural affordable housing, for that to be very effective, Mr. Speaker, we need to ensure that we provide land ownership documents to the owners of the land. I just wanted to know what is she doing, and especially to the people living in the slums, because they're the people who need even those homes more than the other people. Mr. Speaker, you come to places like Laikipia, you go to a village called Maina Village, they don't have title deeds. You go to a place like Rikie, Majengo, they don't have their title deeds. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to know, apart from those villages in Laikipia, what's she doing concerning the land ownership for especially those people living in the villages and in rural areas, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Madam CS.
When you say villages, Honorable Senator, if you mean colonial villages, I had already answered that question and said that during my tenure, I'm going to finish titling for all the colonial villages. Now, villages like, or areas like Kwamaina or Maina, I know where it is, and there are many like that where titling is a problem because most of the time the land does not, indeed the land does not belong to the people living there. There are parcels of lands or land just given to them either by the chiefs or by people who just come and grab and they start issuing titles in wherever they find empty land. It is not easy to first issue titles because any titles do follow planning. And the way most of those houses are built, you'll find that even planning for roads, for sewerage purposes or facilities becomes very complicated. But I'm aware that minor area of between Nyandarua, is it Nyandarua or is it in Laikipia? It's in Laikipia. We have been asked to do titling and we are looking at it. Honorable Senator, I can give you details of whether that will be done. And it's quite a task, but we will endeavor to see, because also the cases of how small can you go in terms of the parcel of land also becomes a big challenge. Some people own places that are not even 0.000 something, and therefore you can imagine that it is not an easy task. But and policy, I'm coming back to this house before June with the national land policy. So I think I have answered that question. Yeah, sure. In terms of regulations, you can help us to think through because we'll be coming to you. Honorable Speaker, I did not answer the question on water and sanitation and sewerage by Honorable Senator for Wajir, but he knows that that issues of sewerage, where we build, Honorable Senator, where we have a project, we endeavor to provide necessary facilities working with other government agencies, whether it is water or sewerage. We will ensure, of course, there is connectivity, and if there is no sewerage, then we will be able to provide necessary sewage system for that specific project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Mohamed Faki.
Honorable Speaker, my question is regard to the affordable housing. There are members of the civil service or public service who are staying in the Mbotela estates in Nairobi, Shauri Moyo, and part of Jogoo Road, where they have been issued with notices to vacate their houses for construction of new units. Honorable Speaker, these units were constructed about 10 years ago during the Kibaki administration, and they are fairly modern and new houses. And I'm wondering, why is the government demolishing such units at a time when people do not have houses? Thank you.
Can I combine with the supplementary question from the Nairobi Senator? Maybe it might involve the same projects.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the CS appeared before us as the Housing Committee, we did explain to her our objections to the Housing Act and explain to her that it was on principle. I'm sure she's aware that we in the minority are still going to ask the courts to have the last say, led by Senator Omtata. Mr. Speaker, the question that was raised by my colleague from Mombasa, Faki, in fact, the ministry has given the residents of Jogoo Road Phase 1 and 2, Jamaa, Mbotela, Ahero and Mawenzi Gardens to vacate their houses by the end of April that is 30th April 2024. And if you see the notice that has been sent to residents, contains a clause here that says that tenants will be accorded priority to purchase or rent a house once the redevelopment is complete. In addition to the question that has been raised by Faki, because Mr. Speaker, if you see, I have a photo of those houses here. These are not houses that you can compare to the houses, say, in Lumumba Estate that were built in the 50s. These houses are less than 10 years old. What is the rationale of demolishing such houses to build something that will look exactly like this, Mr. Speaker? We believe it is a wastage of public resources. Number two, Mr. Speaker, can the CS confirm whether there are agreements that have been signed by this, between the ministry and these residents that will guarantee them what the ministry is saying in these notices? Because, Mr. Speaker, this was the same story in Buxton that the residents were told. When the houses were built, it became another story. And because we said we don't want another Buxton, I want the CS to assure me as the Senator of Nairobi that agreements have been signed with the current residents of these estates that they will actually be given first priority when the units are rebuilt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That's the last supplementary question for the to the CS lands. So summarize that question, the two questions from the two senators. Then we call it a day.
I think the questions are basically the same. The two questions regarding Shaurimoyo, Botera, the various estates that we gave along Jogoo Road, that we gave notices for people to vacate. We have had, we have been, because we also listen, as a government, as a ministry, we listen. And I know this question was raised by Honorable Senator for Nairobi when I appeared before them, before the passing of the housing levy bill. I believe he's now on board. If he's not, I'm sure he'll soon be on board. I hope he'll be on board because this housing program is a useful project for the people of Kenya. I want to say that for the Botera, Shaurimoyo, we are coming up with various projects there because the land is a lot and the number of people using those houses, and those houses, you agree with me, Honorable Senator, Honorable Members, through the Speaker, that they are houses that do not hold a total of maybe 3,000 or 2,000 people. But when you look at the entire land and what we can do with affordable housing, I think it would be in putting the land into better use, because we also as a ministry manage the land, and the land use is under my docket. Therefore, we have agreed this Monday and also last week, my teams from the ministry, Department of Housing, visited these places and there is an agreement. I have been advised that the residents are now in agreement, and we are extending the notice to October, November, depending on where October, November, and we have also agreed that we shall give them relocation, we shall facilitate relocation as people affected by the project. It's a small amount of money, and I believe His Excellency has expressed himself on that. As a ministry, we do provide some little amount of money for relocation. You can pay your rent depending on the agreement in each particular place. Between 6 months and 1 year, we are able to provide the rent for similar, or at least noting that many of them are even paying rent where they are, and they are able to tell us how much rent they are paying. So we give that for 6 months, and there is an agreement, and the notice will be extended, and it will be in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think
Madam
I've
CS.
answered the entire question.
Yes. So that is the end of the question and answer session from the CS Lands and Housing. So thank you very much, Madam CS, for your very elaborate answers. And the member who is happy today is the Senator for Nairobi. He's a very happy man because of all his issues have been addressed professionally. So thank you very much for your time. Welcome back to the Senate any other time that we request you to avail yourself. So asante sana.
Thank
the
you,
good
thank
work
you.
that you are doing to the Kenyans.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Myself and my team. Yeah.
Definitely. When I refer to you, it's your entire team and the family. So, Honorable Senators, we have now the CS for Energy, who is coming for the Senate. Maybe he should be ushered in. He has 2 questions. From the Senator for Kirinyaga, James Murango, and the Senator for Marsabit County, Senator Mohamed Chute. So I don't know whether you have instructions. So thank you very much. Welcome the Energy CS. Thank you for finding time to come before the Senate. You are a frequent visitor to the Senate, and we really thank you that you have time. You don't postpone when you ask to come. So that is a good indication that you are very ready to serve this country. So we go to the first question from the member for Kirinyaga County. Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 007 on behalf of the distinguished Senator for Kirinyaga, Senator James Murango. 1. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware of the breakdown of over 15 government-owned power transformers in Kirinyaga County between March and September 2023? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons behind it? And 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the inordinate delay in replacing defective power transformers in Kirogo, Maendeleo, and Liagishiru villages within Moya constituency, despite multiple requests for their replacement? And 3, could the Cabinet Secretary explain what measures the government has put in place to ensure the timely repair or replacement of defective power transformers? Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond to the question by Senator from Kirinyaga.
Honorable Speaker, today, members of the Senate, good morning, and happy to be here this morning to respond to the questions that have been raised. And like has been said, Honorable Chair, Speaker, I am a frequent member here, and thank you, and happy to engage to address some of the challenges as we look forward to building our country together. Pursuant, Speaker, of following the letter dated February 13th, which was inviting us to come and respond to the question which has been articulated by the honorable member as to whether we are aware of the breakdown of over 15 government-owned power transformers in Kirinyaga County in the last 6 months. and the reasons behind. And that, Chairman, I wish to note that the above question had been asked under question number 059 on 4th October 2023. Honorable members, the ministry is aware, and these breakdowns or the breakdown in those transformers have continuously been addressed through Kenya Power, replaced them once reported. Breakdown of transformers has been experienced not only in Kirinyaga County, but also in different counties, and they have been occasioned by incidences of vandalism of transformers and earthing insulations, illegal connections, which when they are done without due respect to the capacities of those transformers, do cause overloading, and sometimes we lose transformers every so frequently because of those illegal connections and therefore overloading of the transformers. And thirdly, the faults on the low voltage lines due to trees and the challenge environmental issues that happen and causes breakdown sometimes from time to time. Honorable members, to counter these incidences and improve on reliability of the grid, the government has put up the following measures. Continuous monitoring is done on the power network to ensure failed transformers are replaced in the shortest possible time. A listing of power installation as under critical infrastructure. As a result, there is a special police unit called the Energy Police Unit that is now mandated to protect all energy infrastructure all the way from generation, transmission to distribution. Honorable members, let me just give a small background of the challenge and why we are trying to play a catch-up game in this area of transformers. We've had, like I mentioned, and I'll mention in the next question, serious litigation on the procurement front. When power goes off and it's a transformer right now, it's expected that we should respond immediately because it's a critical service supporting hospitals, supporting critical functions. And when we lose a transformer and we have a litigation on procurement of transformers, which you may be aware lasted for between 2 to 3 years, there was so much backlog. And at one time, we had so many transformers paid for by customers, up to 951. And we were not able to procure because of those litigation issues. Transformers which were required for funded government last mile schemes of up to 561, which we were not able to procure. So we did create a backlog of up to 1,700 transformers, and creating a challenge on addressing some of these transformers. And that is why, Speaker, honorable members, we've had this transformer challenge that sometimes looks like, why don't we immediately bring in a replacement transformer when there's been a breakdown? But Chair, Speaker, honorable members, we are on top of this, and we're trying to ensure that the transformer challenge is addressed once for all, so that we don't have these inordinate delays in replacing defective transformers. I don't know whether the next question on the inordinate delay in replacing defective power transformers in Kirogo, Maendeleo, Rishicheru village within Mwea constituency, despite multiple requests for replacement, has been put to the floor.
Unless Senator Mbugua is with such details, which I believe you can respond to in your next question, which is supplementary to the earlier question. Otherwise, I believe, Honorable CS, the response you've just given is specific to the first question. And if there is any supplementary, I believe the Honorable Senator will be able to inquire so that you can respond to it as well. Proceed, Senator Mbugua.
On the supplementary question, I would like the Cabinet Secretary to ensure the country and this House that we have enough transformers in the country. And two, I would want the Cabinet Secretary to assure this House that to tell this House what measures is putting in place to ensure that the transformers which are coming in are not substandard. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you again for that question. There is a current procurement process going on for significant number of transformers to address the shortfalls and to basically deal with the challenge that you raised in the first question and the second question. We've worked very closely, and accompanying me to the House today is our Principal Secretary, Alex Washira, the CEO for Kenya Power, Dr. Siror, Engineer Siror, and the CEO for Ketraco, Dr. John Mativo, also Engineer John Mativo. And I want to confirm, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members, that we really are looking at the quality of transformers. We're not only looking at that quality of transformers, we have made transformer requirements for procurement one that can be localized to our market. And we've developed standards, worked with the international community to ensure that we are able to manufacture assemble the transformers in Kenya. And in this procurement cycle that I mentioned, we are getting adequate transformers to address the challenge of shortage. Chair, we have addressed those quality challenges so that we do not see the challenge of transformers failing. One of the assurances, honorable members, of assuring ourselves on quality is to be able to be given warranty. Warranty is a statement of quality, which basically means, honorable members, if there's a breakdown, you basically replace a transformer at no cost. And we've taken all those precautions to ensure that we protect our investments, we protect our customers, we protect ourselves from downtime, which causes more losses, by ensuring that we do procure quality transformers, but transformers which are backed by warranty, which is, like I said, a statement of quality. And that is to basically say, in the event that we lose a transformer, before the warranty period lapses, we are able to get replacement at no additional cost. So, Chair, we are on top of that, and working together with my team, we will want to assure Kenyans through this House that we will procure quality transformers and pitch for that warranty to confirm quality and the failures that we've seen in the past. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Honorable CS. From my dashboard, Honorable Members, I have got a list of 8 members who I believe would want to ask supplementary questions to the CS. But when you look at the number of questions, the second question, question number 20, that is by Senator Chute, it is more or less related but nationwide covering. I therefore would direct that we allow the Honorable Senator Chute to ask that question. Thereupon, all supplementary questions by members can be asked for the CS to respond to all of them. Honorable Senator Chute, proceed to ask question number 20.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, question number 020. Question number 1. Which entities were responsible for the disruptions of power supply in most parts of the country on Saturday, 11th November 2023, and the nationwide power blackout that occurred on Friday, 25th August 2023, and could the Cabinet Secretary state any actions taken against those entities? Question number 2, would the Cabinet Secretary provide a comprehensive report on the losses incurred by businesses because of the power disruptions, while clarifying whether the affected businesses will be compensated? Question number 3, what measures has the government put in place to ensure the stability of the national electricity grid to prevent the recurrence of such power disruption? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Chuta. Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond to the questions by Senator Chuta.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Jute, for that question. That touches on the outage that was experienced and the disruption of power supply in most part of the country on that Saturday, 11th November 2023, and the nationwide blackout that occurred on Friday 2023, and the actions we've taken against the agencies. The status of investigation into the nationwide power outage on those two dates, honorable members, let me respond that at the time when we experienced that national outage, the system demand at the time of that occurrence was way below the peak demand. There was enough power on the grid, as we were only taking in 1,855 megawatts within the generation mix of hydro, which at that time was delivering 355 megawatts. Geothermal at that time was delivering 817 megawatts. Thermal was delivering 244 megawatts. Wind was at 356 megawatts. And the import from, we didn't have any imports from Uganda, or we were feeding them some 2 megawatts because we do a power exchange with Uganda. And at this particular time, we were pushing some 2 megawatts to Uganda. We were getting 100 megawatts from Ethiopia through the, we call it EEP. The first event that related to the outage was recorded by our system at the National Control Center in Dandora, the SCADA system, at 21 hours, 45 minutes, 09 seconds, 187 milliseconds. I stress that, Chair, because we record events to the milliseconds or any occurrence, because sometimes we want to see the sequence of events, what happened before which event. And that outage was associated with dynamic, what we call dynamic reactive power compensation system at Lake Turkana, wind power in Loyangalani. And the analysis of the event, honorable members, revealed that the compensation unit was responding to a dip. The system seemed to have seen a dip of voltage. Though the dip occurred at almost the same time with a transmission line at Earth River, a 66 kV line at Earth River substation, which was recorded at 21:45:09:277. You will see that the dip, honorable members, occurred about 100 milliseconds later in our Earth River substation. It is, however, unusual for such faults to affect the grid, owing to the fact that the lines are at the downstream. In terms of being the last mile side of our consumption. And therefore, we do not expect really that unusual fault to affect the grid, owing to the fact that the line are, like I said, at the downstream of the grid, and the resultant impact on the transmission grid should be minimal. Examination of the waveforms and the events in the SCADA system shows that Lake Turkana wind project or power plant tripped in 140 milliseconds when the voltage dip was slightly above 80% of the normal 220 system to hold for at least 2 seconds for a fault right through. The fault can really be allowed to go through if the system was to hold for 2 seconds. But this reactive power reacted, and in less than 187 milliseconds, 140 milliseconds, the system shut down. So that really caused a challenge which cascaded down and ran us into that challenge and that problem. On the 11th of November 23, Kenya Transmission National Grid has installed interconnect generation capacity of, with an installed capacity generation of 2806 megawatts, with geothermal at that time 852, hydros 810, thermal 506, wind 426 megawatts, solar 212 megawatts. The national grid is interconnected with Uganda through a 132 kV double circuit line between Lesos and Tororo substation, and Ethiopia electric power through a 500 kV high voltage DC line linked at Suswa, linking Suswa. On that particular day, this is the second partial blackout, on the 11th November 2023 at 19 hours 57 minutes, the country experienced a partial outage of the electric power system. The system demand before the outage again was approximately 2,057 megawatts, distributed as shown on the table on the statement which I've signed and given to the House. Hydros 553, geothermal 800 megawatts, thermal 234, wind 334, imports 136, totaling 57 megawatts. You will note again, honorable members, that was way below the generation capacity of the country or the peak power that we have seen before. So it was nothing to do with the shortage of power generation. The power supply disturbance was triggered by a trip on an 80 megawatt and 90 megawatt transformers at Olkaria 2 and Olkaria 1 additional unit substations. Olkaria Naivasha 132 line, honorable members, also tripped at the same time. The cause was attributed to a failed chamfer cable at Olkaria 132 kilovolts substation. The substation was commissioned in 1992, and reconstruction work, in addition to upgrading of the generator, is due to commence this year. The loss of the 170 megawatts and Naivasha 132 kilovolts line resulted in increased power flow from Olkaria to Kibos 220 kV line and Suswa, Nairobi North 220 kV line. The shift in the power flows due to that caused an overload in one of the very weak links we have in the west of Kenya, Kisumu Moroni, which is the very reason why we are accelerating the construction of Narok Bomet. So Kisumu Moroni 132 kV line and the 200 megawatt transformers and at Dandora 220 substation, Kisumu Moroni 132 line then tripped on an overload, further overloading the transformers at Dandora, which tripped. With a trip of these critical lines and cascade trip of Chuja, Naivasha, Kibos, Kisumu 132 to Moroni, the western part of the country was kind of isolated. It was islanded, and we then saw that partial challenge. This led to several imbalances in the system. When the system tried to balance itself, and in a very short time, that imbalance really, in terms of the cascading of the challenges, caused that challenge of partial outage. Like I said, this led to several imbalances in the system, leading to cascade trip of generators in Olkaria, Nairobi, coast, loss of Ethiopia transmission and Uganda imports. And the loss of generation led to that partial collapse of the system. However, Mount Kenya grid system was islanded with generators at Kamburu, the Cascade, and Gitaru, running and tied to the customers connected to this part of the grid. You will note, members, that because it was a partial outage, we were able to restore within 3.5 hours. And so the restoration activities began at 2011 hours on the same day, and supply to the customers was finally restored fully by 1:39 hours in the morning, with sufficient generations availed. Members, honorable members, joint technical and operational teams in the energy sector have continuously reviewed such major disturbances with resultant improvements recommendations, some of which have been implemented. These endeavors and efforts have continued to reduce the frequency and severity of system disturbance, especially those that would cascade and lead to nationwide grid collapse despite its vulnerability. System defense mechanisms such as effective under-frequency load shedding are some of the strategies we have employed today, and provision of emergency overload capacity for critical transmission lines have been employed and are working well. And what you will possibly notice for a while, we have not seen some of these systems. What I'm basically saying here, when there is an overload, we'd rather pull down some of the feeders or deload a network and not push power and overload the system. That would cascade and cause nationwide or the kind of partial blackout that we talked about. So what we do, Honorable Speaker, and you'll possibly notice this more in the area of Bomet because of Moroni Chemosit, when there is an overload in that line, because that line is built on a capacity of about 80 megawatts, 89 megawatts, and many times it would be carrying up to 120, 130 megawatts, Moroni Chemosit, down to Sotik, Gigathi, all the way to Awendo. Sometimes we have to deload the line by pulling some of the customers down so that we don't overload the country. And so some of the blackouts that you see sometimes is what we are calling here effective under-frequency load shedding, to manage the capacity of the system so that in a way we are islanding, we are isolating the problem to that small area by bringing it down and therefore sustaining the rest of the country. However, the proposed key projects are especially alternative transmission lines for evacuating power from key generation points which are bending poses major challenge in operating the network optimally. We have attached comprehensive list of recommended critical grid enhancement projects which are in various stages of implementation in the annex. Allow me, honorable members, at this point to point to the fact that whereas the energy sector in Kenya is almost fully unbundled to the extent that the generation, the transmission, and the off-taker operate independently with their own balance sheet, with their own systems. Ketraco today is still supported on government balance sheet. And therefore, and we are working very quickly to employing the PPP framework to see how Ketraco, with the limited government resources, could be able to work through the PPP framework, attract private investors to build transmission system, remove the constraints on the overloaded circuits, and be able to forestall this challenge. So a number of circuits today are undergoing evaluation through the PPP framework, and so that Ketraco can leverage on private investment and be able to forestall some of these challenges. Some of the action the ministry is addressing the root cause of grid instability is formulating lasting solution in order to comprehensively address the weaknesses. One of them is what I just mentioned through the PPP framework. Further, the government, together with our development partners, are working on grid reinforcement plan to ensure the frequent blackouts experienced lately do not become a persistent matter. Government is committed, honorable members, Speaker, in having a reliable, sustainable, and resilient national grid system. And to an extent where, like I said, generation seems to be doing well. The off-taking through KPLC and what we are doing to strengthen their balance sheet, you've lately realized that we have allowed KPLC minority shareholders to participate in the structure of governance, corporate governance, by bringing in 4 independent directors to represent the interest of the 49.9% shares which are out through the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And the government side today is represented by 5 members. those are some of the